Hi everyone, welcome back to my studying and to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the new Candyman film and see the trailers. I believe there are two of them and one just recently dropped a few days ago. And the reason why I want to do that is because I'm a big fan of both the original film from 1992 by Bernard Rose, I believe, and the source material, the short story that was used as a basis for the Candyman at this point franchise, I guess, is called The Forbidden, and it's one of the short stories in the absolutely fantastic Books of Blood. It's a short story collection, an anthology by one and only Clive Barker, and yes, of Hellraiser fame, of Imagica fame, of The Thief of Always fame. He's a fantastic writer and a director. I do actually like everything he did in terms of movie making. He did Cabal and he did Hellraiser 1. And Cabal was Nightbreed, actually. The Cabal was the source material. Nightbreed was kind of butchered by the studio, but even as the severely cut and reduced version of it, I do really like that film. And there were other movies made based on his work. From top of my head, I can remember The Midnight Meat Train. I think it was in the early 2000s. And that was not a particularly good film, nor an adaptation, which is a shame because I do think that Books of Blood especially can absolutely work as one and off standalone horror films. They are short, yes, but they're very well contained. There are characters in it that leave an impact, and they do have this very typical but very well done gotcha moment at the end, just like every good short story should have, especially in the horror genre. So what are the differences between the short story and the original film? And the main difference is actually quite fundamental, even if the structure is similar. The execution is, of course, different. So Candyman, the character, in the short story, he doesn't have a set slasher origin story like in Candyman, the movie with fantastic Tony Todd. He is the reason alone to watch that film. That man has one of the most perfect voices ever. And he's a fantastic character actor. I wish he had more chance to shine as a lead. He was in Star Trek a bunch. He was Worf's brother. He was a lot. He was in Deep Space Nine. He was Son in one of the Time Loop episodes. Yeah, fantastic actor, fantastic voice actor. So in the 1992 film, he is not an urban legend that just birthed itself like in a short story. In fact, he is a killed slave with a tragic past, which then transcended into this generational urban myth that kind of became this almost a revenant, you might say. The end result is very similar. We have this larger-than-life figure that thrives on its reputation and fear. And now we have a continuation. We have another movie, and from what I understand, this is kind of a continuity reboot. I think it doesn't erase the previous films. I think there were 2 direct-to-DVD sequels to Candyman, maybe, which I tried to see the second one and it was bad, so I don't think the third one is even worth it.
What's Candyman? Candyman ain't a he. Candyman's the whole damn hive.
Candyman ain't a he. Candyman is a whole damn hive. Yeah, what I really like here is the emphasis on the urban decay, urban horror. That's something that the 90s film did really well. It was in these high-rise but decrepit project buildings, and it really did give it a whole different flavor. it was almost oppressive. There's nowhere to hide, because usually when we think of classic horror, at least from the 80s, with slashers, it's always suburban, it's always suburbia, it's always this large house or something like that. But here you actually do have neighbors that are close to you, but the nature of living, especially if you're poor in small apartments, is that you don't really interact with your neighbors.
A story like that, pain like that, lasts forever. Candyman is how we deal with the fact that these things happen. That they're still happening. Tell everyone.
This is so cool. So that was, yeah, was that Tony Todd? I think this was Tony Todd. I really like the non-explicit tease of Candyman with the little paper doll and everything. Yeah, this is great. So this is this is going to be written by Jordan Peele, who did quite a bit of really interesting stuff lately. Maybe minus his Twilight Zone reboot. I think he produced it. I don't think he was involved in writing it. That was very hit or miss. But this one is going to be directed by Nia DaCosta. Now, I don't know anything about her, but she is a young female director, and that's always good to see. Different, interesting voices. Now, let's compare this to the full-length trailer, which again, not fan of that. Fake scare with a cat or someone barging into a room at a tense moment. Never was a fan of that. If you're going to build up tension, don't just waste the built-up energy. Those CGBs aren't great looking.
I feel really...
This actor, but he was in Watchmen, wasn't he? Really good.
Just moved in around the...
Why are you drawn to this?
I'm hoping to spread the story all about Candyman, the mirror.
So I presume that he's going to be a catalyst into Candyman being reborn, because he gets interested in Candyman myth and then gets inspired to do these illustrations and art pieces of him, which makes other people interested, and their collective belief manifests him into our world. That's an interesting angle. So no Candyman, the original one. So is this a full reboot or like a thematic reboot? But I do really like this angle. This is like, art is powerful. Don't let anyone say you otherwise. Here you have an artist who, with the power of his imagination and the impact he had on others, brought a myth to life. Let's just hope the movie focuses on that, on the artist part, and not go too wide with cheap thrills and cheap looking murders. I mean, yeah, violence is an inherent and important part of any horror, almost any horror for that matter. And I don't dislike it. I just wish that there is a purpose to it. And this looks like it's in a good path. If it focuses on the artist and not on the school kids. Please, no school kids. That's just gonna be cliche and boring. So that's that. Please do tell me if you're a fan of the original Candyman, if you think that the sequels were any good. I mean, if they are, I'd give them a second chance. I mean, why not? The thing that always bugged me about the existence of them is, while there is potentially a a sequel hook in the original Candyman, which is actually Candywoman, the main protagonist, the woman in the short story and in the movie. She dies at the end, and she becomes the urban legend herself, and that might be a good kind of a sequel hook. But at this point, I frankly don't remember if they ever toyed with that in the movies. So, and I don't think they should even go there with the new one. So that's that. Tell me if you like this or you didn't. Thank you for watching, and have a good one. Bye-bye.